Live pictures of the courthouse in Manhattan, where President Trump will arrive on Tuesday, along with his Secret Service detail, thus making the former president the best protected accused criminal in history.
Whether the former president goes back to Trump Tower or he goes to a rally, whatever he chooses to do, they will be able to and have the capability to implement a very safe, secure environment.
Yeah, it's almost like he's going to an office meeting in terms of how the Secret Service looks at it. Today, we learned the NYPD will not handcuff Trump, and allegedly his mugshot will remain secret until somebody decides to leak it. He'll appear before Judge Juan Merchan. He spent 16 years on the bench. Before that, he was an assistant district attorney known for his understanding of financial crimes. For example, he oversaw the tax fraud case against Trump's businesses. Michael Discioarro here, former assistant district attorney in Manhattan and now defense attorney in the city. All right, Michael, good to see you as always. The AP reported just before we came on the air that they believe at least one count here is a felony. Does that change things at all?
Well, no, because we still don't know what the felony is and what it's based on. Is it based on the federal law that he doesn't have the authority to enforce? Is it based on something else that we don't know? I read today there was 34 counts. I don't know how he gets 34 counts out of these acts that we've been reading, but Tuesday will tell.
All right. So Michael Cohen, the star witness, who is a perjurer and disgraced in every possible way individual, also President Trump's former attorney, he was on CNN last night talking about this. Take a listen.
They couldn't get him on murder, extortion, racketeering, bootlegging, etc. They got him on tax evasion. If that crime, Don, was enough for me to be charged, fined, convicted, and sent to prison, why am I any different than Donald Trump?
All right, so he was basically saying this is the Al Capone theory. Find something to get Donald Trump on. And to be fair, there was a lot of other things Michael Cohen did beyond just the Stormy Daniels payoff that ended up with him in jail. I digress. The important part here is at some level that a defense of the president arguing to a judge or anybody else that I've been targeted, evidence Alvin Bragg during his campaign saying, I'm going after him?
So I don't believe that's going to be allowed to be argued to a jury in terms of what you're arguing is selective prosecution. That is an argument that his lawyers make now because the jury is out there. The jury's walking around Manhattan right now. The jury's listening. And when you have a case like this, you go after the jury that's out there and you represent your client the best way when you have a case like this in the public arena. But as far as letting that kind of evidence into court in front of a jury, no. You can argue to the judge that these types of cases aren't usually prosecuted or the outcome is not the same as this defendant, but those don't really go far. Judges focus on evidence and facts.
All right. Well, that's what judges are supposed to focus on, and thankfully they do. Live pictures of West Palm Beach, Florida. The president's plane, we understand he's going to fly up on Monday for the proceedings on Tuesday. Trump trial timeline, data from New York's criminal division. In more than 3/4 of 2022, the average criminal case in Manhattan took more than 900 days, over 2 years, to move from indictment to a trial verdict. You point out that there is a lot of things that can happen, a lot of legal maneuvering by Trump's lawyers to drag this out, motions to quash and the like. If you were defending President Trump right now, what would you be filing over the next week or two? Number one, to slow things down, and number two, to try to get this case dismissed?
In this case, I would be asking the judge to review. I would actually ask the judge to review the grand jury minutes before we do the arraignment. I was speaking to the best appeals lawyer in the city, Steve Preziosi, today, and we were talking about there's grand jury minutes that are already out there. They just haven't been given to the court yet, or maybe they have. I would make a motion. I would ask the court. To review the minutes before we even do the arraignment. This is a different type of case with a different type of defendant. And there's a lot of consequences with bringing the former president to court.
Is that even possible that there's a motion filed on Monday and the arraignment's delayed?
I don't think there's a mechanism for it. I'm talking about reaching out to the court or to the DA's office to come to some sort of agreement before we go down this road to have the court review this. This is a different type of defendant.
Yeah, no, it's totally different in every way. Thanks for watching. Go to newsnationnow.com to find News Nation on your television provider. And don't forget to subscribe. Click the red button to get more of News Nation's fact-driven, unbiased coverage.